Alright, well it's time for another kit build. In this case, we're going to be working on this neat surface mount clock that I picked up on eBay for just a couple of bucks. I love eBay for these kits. You get some really neat kits for just a very tiny amount of money. This one actually does have very good instructions, which I'll include in the description below. I'm going to be using my new ceramic tweezers for this, for the surface mount. And yeah, there's really not much to it. I have the component list here next to me. I've got all the components in front of me, and we're just going to have some more adventures in surface mount soldering. So, what we're going to start with is the PNP transistors. Now, we're going to be soldering components on both sides of this PCB. So for this part of the build, we're going to start on the top side here, and it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for the clock around the edge here. So that's how you know this is the front. The back has the battery holder and buttons and some other stuff. But we're not going to work on the back just yet. We're going to start with the front, and we're going to start with the transistors, which are these little guys, and we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to solder 9 of them onto the front of the board here, so I'm just going to peel this plastic back. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, so we'll just dump 9 of those transistors out, and we'll start by applying a little dab of solder onto the board on the middle pin of all of these transistors. So Q1, oh, this is going to be a bit challenging. I don't think my soldering iron is up to temperature yet. That might be the problem. Yeah, hasn't. Oh, it would help if I actually turned the soldering iron on. Apparently I turned it on, then I turned it back off. So just going to give it a couple of seconds to heat up here. And let's try this again. Ah, there's a much better result. It's like, this PCB can't be that heat absorption, or I was having a hard time believing that the PCB would suck up that much heat. Alrighty, so the specific transistors that we're doing are marked on this side of the board as Q1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So now I'm going to, this board is going to be very sticky at the end of this. I'm going to have to wash it down with some isopropyl, but I'm just going to dab a little bit of flux onto those solder joints that I just laid down, and we're going to go ahead and start, let's see, let's get back in shot here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and start soldering these into place, and what I'm going to do, I've demonstrated this in other videos, but I'll go through the whole walkthrough again, is reflow that dab of solder that I put down and slide the component into the molten solder, and then position it so that it's nicely centered. This is the best way I've found to do surface mount by hand. Some people will use a little bit of glue, other people will use paste and hot air, which is probably the best way to do it, but paste is a pain in the butt to work with, and you have to keep it in the fridge, and it's kind of expensive, and Yeah, for just general hobbyist work, this is the best way to go about it. These are slightly smaller components than I'm used to working with, but... Oopsie. Ah! Oh, I just made a mess. Let's fix that. There we go. Yeah, that one wasn't quite level when I soldered it in, so... this is probably going to be a shorter series of videos because I'm going to make each step of the PDF, the instructions PDF, as its own video. So the sections will be shorter, but there will be a bunch of them. So, alright. There we go. I should have two more. But I only have one more here on the board. I wonder if I flicked one off into the distance. Oh. If the camera is wiggling, that's because the spin cycle on my dryer just kicked in, and washing machine, and it makes the entire house shake. Alright. Looks like I can't count, so I'll just dump out another transistor there. And last one goes there. Alright. Now that I've got them down on the board, I'm just gonna quickly, this isn't on camera, but I'm just quickly inspecting the pins, making sure they're nicely centered and flat on the board, so I'll just quickly touch up a few of these that were sitting slightly high. There we go. Yep, that looks all good to me. So now we'll just quickly apply a quick blip of solder onto the other two pins of these transistors. Just like this. There we go. Oops. Almost done. Two more. Alright. So that's the transistor soldered into place. I'm just gonna bring this up for a quick inspection. A couple of these joints are a little blobby, so I'm just gonna try to pull off a little bit of the excess solder. Might need to use a little bit of flux. Yeah. Where did my flux go? There it is. So I'll just... There we go. Alright, so that's cleaned up. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is place some 10K resistors. And that's these guys right here. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. And that's going to be in positions R6, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 26, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. If you're following along. But how many did I say I needed? 1, 2, 3, 13. So... bugger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. dump them out and make a huge mess. They're kind of all over the place, but that's alright. So, oh, I had one stuck to my thumb there for a second. That would be unfortunate if I lost track of it. So, I need R6 and 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 26, 29, 31, 32, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Let's see. 33, 34, and 35. Okay. Same thing as last time. Just a little dab of flux on the solder that I just put down. And we'll go ahead and start soldering them into place. So these are 10K resistors, so they're labeled 1002. So 100 and then 2 additional zeros to make it 10K. Alright. And then, let's see. There we go. This is probably one of the more densely populated SMD kits that I've ever made. This will be a bit challenging. How am I doing for time? I got 7 minutes, alright. Maybe it won't be a series of shorter videos if I do this step by step. So we've still got a fair amount of components to place for this step of the PDF. There we go. Just gotta keep on keeping on here. There we go. Well, despite the fact that these tweezers aren't ESD safe like the seller said they were, they are working quite well for this application, which is what I bought them for, but it was a little not distressing, but a little disappointing, that's the word I was looking for, to find out that the tips of these, while they seem to be made of a ceramic-like material, they aren't actually non-conductive, which is what they would be as if they were ESD safe. So kind of curious that. Oopsie. Ah, come back. There we go. And there we go. And then just one more. Then we get to solder the other side of them. Thankfully, that should go reasonably quickly. All right. So that's all the 10K resistors placed. We're just gonna quickly flow some solder onto the other sides of those resistors. Try not to be too excessive. as I place a giant blob of solder on that one. Well, let's see. Already did that one. Okay. Is that... Oop, I missed one. Alright, so I think that's all of the resistors. Just a quick visual inspection here. Yeah, I'm applying a little bit more solder than I'd like, but we should be okay. Now let's take a quick drink of my tea. Alright, the next thing we're going to place... actually, I'm just going to flip the camera. Alright, so the next thing we're going to place is the 47 ohm resistors, which is marked 470 on the surface of the resistor. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There we go. And these are going to go into positions R5, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 25, 27, and 30. So probably pretty much every other resistor spot on the board here is going to get a resistor. So R5, R11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 25, 27, 30. Alright, and that's all of them. I am suffering a minor cold, so pardon the coughing and gurgly throat noises. There we go, there's one. Whoopsie. Ah. Darn it. Behave. Although I suppose I could solder these upside down, but there we go. And just keep working our way through. Ah. That's weird. Get in there. There we go. And then this one. Right. 3 more. Let's see. Then another one here. And then alright, so that's all of those resistors placed. Now let's just go through and apply solder to the other side of the resistors. Alright, I think I got them all. just another quick visual inspection. Oops, what was R21? Is R21 not populated? 26, 29, 25, huh. We've got a spot for an R, but it doesn't say what value it should be. Give me a second, I'm just going to consult the PDF. Alright, I figured out what R21 is. It is a 10K resistor that was actually in the next step of the assembly, but the next step of the assembly goes onto the other side of the board, so I don't know why they're having R21 placed on that part, but I'm just going to quickly place R21, which is going to be one of the 10K resistors, and we're just going to throw it right on over here. There we go. I'm going to need to touch up some of these joints with a little bit of flux, but that's alright. Alright, where are my messy joints? Let's just fix these up real quick. Add a little solder on that one. And I had another sticky joint. Yeah, there's some there. Right. Quick reflow to fix up some kind of peaky solder joints there. Alright, next are going to be some capacitors. Now, these capacitors that you get in the kit have no labeling or marking on them, so I was able to figure out which one is which just by virtue of there are 4 20 picofarad capacitors on the board and only 2 100 nanofarad capacitors. So that's how we're going to be able to tell the difference. So we're going to start by placing 2 20 picofarad capacitors. Those are the ones that there are 4 of, at C3 and C4. So here's C4, here's C3. Come on, there we go. All right. And then we'll go ahead and get 2 of those capacitors out. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2. There we go. Alright. Got some fluff and debris on my workspace here. These surface mount components are in far better condition than the ones from the LED chaser kit. They're taking to the solder much nicer. There we go. Alright, those are placed, and then we'll just throw a little solder on. It flowed onto the capacitor, but not onto the board. Come on, there we go. Make sure this one probably going onto a ground plane or something. Let's clean that one up a little bit. This board is going to be very sticky. I will have to clean it very thoroughly with some isopropyl or even acetone. Alright, so the last step for this one is to place the 104 caps. Those are the ones that there are only 2 of, so we'll go ahead and open up these 2, dump those out, and they go in position C2 and C5. So C5 is up here, and C2 is right here. Alright. Continuing with our pattern of flux. There's one capacitor, and there we go. Then we'll just quickly reflow, or not reflow, but flow some solder onto the other side of these caps. Yep, alright. And just a little bit more flux on that one to clean it up. Which it's being kind of a little difficult. Probably soldering onto a ground plane. Yep, definitely soldering onto a ground plane with that one. Alright, so that's step one of the, what the heck is this thing called? It's LED clock thing. I have no idea what I'm going to call it. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. If you haven't already, consider clicking here to subscribe. Over here will be a video that YouTube thinks you'll find interesting based on your watch habits. Right here will be, I guess it'll be the kit builds playlist, but in following videos it'll be the clock build playlist. And right here is a link to Patreon. You can use Patreon to help me buy more of these things and build them for you. So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you in part 2.